I just wrote a poem to Obama recently.
Did you
I
send it?
actually wrote 2.
Did you send it?
Yes, I did. I don't know that he got it, but I sent it.
I emailed Hillary Clinton the other day, and I
Okay.
haven't heard back yet,
But you never
I'm
know.
expecting to.
My intention is that it will somehow find him. I actually also, there's a poem in my book about hope that I also sent to him, that I hope he gets and that he reads.
So now
Because
you do individual coaching or corporate coaching or both?
All of that.
All
I
of the
do
above, okay.
one-on-one coaching. I do corporate coaching. Most of the corporate work is around either emotional intelligence or appreciative inquiry. It's very specific. I'll go in with a specific program. Most recently, in the last, it's not so recent now, it's in the last 5 years, I've trained with Heartland Circle, which is out of Minnesota, and they do a program called The Art of Convening, which is bringing people into sacred circle, into a circle for a very particular kind of dialogue process. It's a process where all voices are heard, every person is acknowledged, and whatever the issue or theme is given a chance to unfold and blossom in this very sacred space. It's my favorite work in the world. That's what I was doing just before you came. So we have a lot of different kinds of intelligences. And years ago, his name is Gardner, began to look at, well, intellectual intelligence, this analytical brain is certainly a very important component, but not the only component. There are people who have spatial intelligence, an ability to sense spaciousness, dimensions, and work with that. Well, architects, landscape artists. There are people who have kind of almost an intelligence of beauty, of harmony, a creative intelligence. Well, one of the intelligences that we have is this capacity to not only know, name, and be a choice about our own emotions, but to be able to know someone else's emotions in a way that allows us to be in relationship with them, to understand where not only where we're coming from, but where someone else is coming from. And what they know is that emotional intelligence is every bit as important as analytical intelligence in terms of being able to function well in the world.
I
and to
totally agree with
accomplish.
that. I agree with that. Yeah.
And
It's more than just right brain, left brain. It's there's a
well,
lot
it's
more.
whole brain.
It's whole brain.
It's whole brain.
Yeah.
I think that this whole there's actually even some controversy as to whether there is this real dichotomy. What we know is that women have all these pathways back and forth between perhaps even more so than men. I'm trying to think of where I read that. I think it's The Female Brain is a book that came out recently. But ultimately, obviously, it's always about marrying all these different aspects of ourselves. It's not just thinking from one side or feeling from the other side. When we are emotionally intelligent, we can go from reactive mode to responsive mode. When we can put a space between the stimulus and our response rather than just reacting, something else can happen. We are a holistic being, and no matter where we start in our quest or our inquiry, lots of other pieces open up. So it's always more whole life than the original question or query would have one believe.
Well, I know you're pretty natural for you. What can you tell these women out that come to the website that maybe there's something they want to do, but they just can't seem to get going or take that logical sequential steps that you take? What would you advise them to do to get started?
First words that come to mind are begin where you are. take a good look, take some quiet time, and do some visioning or dreaming, because I think it all begins in our imagination. Get playful if you don't want to do it alone. Come together with a group of women and each invite women to come together to share their dreams, which is a really challenging thing to do. So begin by noticing who you really are, what you really want, where the gap is, what's the first tiny step you could take, what's the support you need, who can you call, who can you be in touch with, who will hold your hand, who's always been there holding your hand, what do you have faith in, how do you tap into that faith? Know it, something's operating on our behalf. I have this belief that if I take a step in the direction of my dreams, the universe takes a step toward me. And I want to be able to notice that. I want that experience. I want to acknowledge it in the happening. So every night I sit down and my prayer every morning is, I accept the power of grace flowing in my life, and I ask to be shown clear examples. And then every night I write down what happens. If your dream is big enough, then it will move you past all that negative chatter that's going on. It's not that we don't feel it. The world is in too much trouble for us to make ourselves small. There's no time for that. You know much too much to be sitting here and not sharing it with the world.
Could you repeat that, please?
The world is in too much trouble for us to make ourselves small. One step along. It's one step at a time. We all want to get to the goal, but we don't realize that there is nothing but the journey. There just isn't. It's whatever we're doing at a moment in time. It's where we are in that moment that matters.
What one thing are you most proud of in your life?
There are a lot of things that I feel really good about, but if I had to choose one, as a mother, it would be that I have this amazing son. Being a mother, or whatever it is that we really birth in the world and bring to adulthood, is the single most important thing I will ever do in my life, no matter how long